don't know if it's Vose or Vose. I just want to say Vose, thank you for an excellent presentation. And Ethel, thank you, my sister. I've known Ethel for as long as YFM has been around. So that's 1997, yeah? That's when we first met. But I'm especially grateful to the speakers before me. Thank you for accommodating me. I really, really appreciate it, and I owe you. You saw me walk on crutches. How many of you know that if you put the word G-O in front of disable, you come up with the word God is able? Yeah, so God is able. I've already received my healing, it's just my body is battling to catch up. Because of time, I really won't take too much of your time. Vusi did a great job in that. So I am currently sitting between you and your break, and I understand the pressures that confront us. But just before we start, I just want to make sure, because you've all been sitting here for some time, and it might just, some of you, I know you're tired. Two things happened while I was in hospital. One is the xenophobic attacks on foreign nationals. Now, I think it's important, comrades, that we address this matter at the very beginning, so that we have a very constructive engagement from now on. It is crucial, vital, and therefore necessary for me to point out that this democratic project was never going to succeed without the international solidarity. We needed to be housed by our brothers and sisters throughout the rest of the African continent. And I think it's an absolute disgrace that we have lost our humanity in the process. But I think at the same time, it's important for us to understand the good work that has been done in the last 21 years. And the video that I played, and you have an artist like K9 who speaks well about South Africa and what we did and what we achieved in 2010. Let us not forget that. Or let us not forget that. Then you understand me when I say that. Let's not forget that. Because it is indeed it was our rallying call. One of the rationale and the pillars for hosting the 2010 FIFA World Cup was that we were going to tell a different story about Africa. That it will no longer be a story about crime and corruption. Corruption is a problem everywhere in the world. The problem with corruption in Africa is that it affects the poor the most. And we need to speak out against these things. And so, it's with a sense of destiny that we called on the African continent and said that in hosting the 2010 FIFA World Cup, we do so on behalf of the African people. The freedom and the democracy that you and I enjoy today is as a result of some black child on the African continent, whether it's in Harare or Abuja, who was deprived an opportunity so that you and I can be free. I'm not a politician, but I just thought I should get this thing off my chest. And so, let us fly the South African flag with pride. The second point I wanted to make is that, well, there are a lot of things happened, along with Boko Haram and the earthquake in Nepal. Some team, how many of you know the symbol of peace worldwide? What is the symbol of peace? Oh, okay. All right. All right, so some team, I don't know. Okay, but just do me a favor, play with me, please, because I want to check if you are listening. Can you all stretch your hands? And I always hate it when speakers, especially motivational speakers, says, do this and do that, get a paper and draw a line in the middle. Okay, work with me. Please raise your hand. Okay, so can I ask you to do this? Just do a circle with your thumb and your index finger, yeah? Okay, do me a favor, can you please, that round circle, can you put it on your chin, please? No, you're not listening, that's not where your chin is. Okay, so maybe let's get on with the presentation. But comrades, I hope you do listen but there's a point about that. And the point is that when it comes to leadership, people listen to your actions. So if you are a boss and an entrepreneur, and I really, really admire you as entrepreneurs, you tell your staff not to come late at work, and you're always arriving late. Monkey see, monkey do, and I'm not calling any black people a monkey. I'm just saying, people follow your actions rather than what you say. And if you think that there's something wrong with your business, Mahatma Gandhi ji, that great son of the soil in that great land called India, reminds us that we should be the change that we want to see in the world. So I took a decision. I said, look, it's difficult, Ashraf, to explain to black people what congenital deformity is. So every time they ask me what happened, I said I had xenophobic attacks. So I was carrying the stock and then it fell on my foot. So I was operated by an orthopedic surgeon from Limpopo, who was accompanied by a plastic surgeon from Limpopo. And then I got to find out that the anesthetics and the entire team were all from Limpopo. They didn't bring a broom, but I think for me there was a very critical point about what supporting each other means. Because that's what other races do, including the Jewish people. So I went into theater, or is it theater? I went into a theater, and you know they give you this gown that you wear, and then I saw this other blue thing, and I was like, for my hairstyle, I don't need to wear that. It turned out it was an underwear that I had to wear. And I said, no, comrades, the problem is there, it's not there. See, I'm not here for circumcision, otherwise there'll be nothing left. So I went ahead with this thing. So 4 hours later, I was back in my room. I must tell you, it was the most peaceful sleep I've ever had in my life. I now understand why Michael Jackson was addicted to that stuff. But there's something quite crucial that they did. From time to time, they kept on checking my temperature. Now, there are two instruments that deal with temperature, that measure temperature, and that deal with temperature. And the first one is a thermometer. Black people, when you are sick, is this thing they stick in your mouth. Thermometer. Then there's a thing called a thermostat. Now, you need to learn the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. You see, a thermometer measures temperature. It doesn't do anything other than to measure temperature. It will tell you your body temperature. Then there's a thermostat. This is that thing that you find inside the geyser that tells the water in the geyser you need to go up or you need to cool down. My message to you this morning, be a thermostat and not a thermometer. Be the change in society and transform lives in order for us, for the majority of our people to enjoy life. And it's all a matter of perspective. And I've borrowed a quote from Michael Josephson who says, to the barefoot man, happiness is a pair of shoes. To the man with old shoes, it's a pair of new shoes. To the man with new shoes is the most stylish shoes, like my happy socks, proudly made in South Africa. And of course, to the fellow with no feet, they will be happy to be barefoot. Measure your life by what you have, not what you don't have. And it goes back to the point, and Ashraf, I did make notes while Vose was speaking. Vose is from Tembisa, I'm from Alex. The red problem that we have in Alex actually comes from Sandton. And I've heard, because I visited some of my relatives in Alex, that the rats in Alex have now gone ghetto. They're wearing chains now. Hey, dude, what's up? What's happening, my nigga? Vusi spoke about being the best versus being the biggest. Now, let me tell you something, and I want to demonstrate this. This bottle is Valpray, how many millimeters? Hey, black people. 500. Let's say it's 500. Now, if a 500 Valpre water is full, it is full. It does not have to be jealous of a bucket that's full. And the bucket that's full does not have to be jealous of a lake that's full. And a lake that's full does not have to be jealous of the ocean that's full. Be content with what you have. Focus on your dreams. Run your own race. It's in Amen, man. Now, in the context of these xenophobic attacks, we need to understand, comrades, that trade follows the flag. The more we persecute foreign nationals and attack them and violently murder them and allow opportunistic criminal elements to destroy the very fabric of our society, that leads to capital outflow. Money will leave the country. And there is no sector that knows that message like the mining sector. Now let me tell you what happens. Some of you are entrepreneurs, and so you can relate with what I'm about to say. When the big contract gets lost, it has the domino effect, that the guy that used to get the contract from the main contractor suddenly lose their contract. No, check how many businesses, and I'm not opposed to industrial action, but check how many businesses suffered after what happened in Marikana. Sorry, Marikana. Sometimes I talk to white people and say Marikana, so it makes more sense. So the domino effect is that every time you and I do something stupid, somebody down the road suffers. And so we need to be careful about our actions, and in particular, what that flag stands for. That hexagon represents the mandate of Proudly South African and the partnerships that we have. We work with partners. So one of the things, to summarize the work that we do, because I must now get off, I'm feeling a lot of pain, is that we use the acrostic PRIDE. We say P, it's about patriotism. We encourage you to be patriotic. Now, I watch a lot of, and since I've been in hospital and stuff, I watch a lot of American movies. In a very subtle way, you'll always find the American flag there. They are very proud of who they are, the Americans. Let us engender, comrades, this sense of national pride and patriotism amongst our people, because it is crucial. And let us stop running down our own country. Let me tell you, I have been blessed to travel the world. I've been to India. And let me tell you something about India. You think you got problems with traffic and taxi drivers? No, you don't. It's a madhouse. It really, they don't even have, they've done away with their 10 dirty lanes. They don't have lanes, they don't need lanes. It's about survival of the fastest. P is about partnerships. It makes a lot of sense if we work together and not against each other, if we support each other, as opposed to competing with each other. Now, we have a problem with ESCOM. Now, one of the things that can we imagine, Ashraf, the economic power of an ESCOM working in Nigeria? Can we imagine the power of the Nigerian petroleum sector helping us in South Africa? No, we don't. So instead, we start attacking each other, diplomatic relations, and so on and so forth. I mean, you saw that story about DERCO, and we didn't ask for money for the foreign national South Africans who died at a church. And I don't know why anyone who has TB wants to go to a church with someone whose name starts with TB. But anyway, it's not my business. Now, our focus is wrong. Our focus is completely wrong. How many of us out of this gathering are going to walk out of here and say, I am going to go out of my way to empower somebody else? And I'm going to network, and I'm going to make sure that I create a virtuous circle. So we support each other. And do away with this give me spirit. The fact that you are here, I'm here to tell you, congratulations, because not many people have made it here. Run your own race. And if you think there's something wrong with the man in the mirror, you see a pregnant woman, go to the gym. Run your own race. Focus on your own life. Now, I have enough religion, and I'm over 40. Let me tell you about one beauty about being over 40. You don't care what people think of you anymore. Because I'm trying to live here. I'm trying to serve God as much as I can, brothers and sisters. I don't care what you all think of me. There is something about destiny that says that it's no longer about success, but it's about significance. What am I saying? Success is what you do for yourself. Significance is what you do for others. Focus on that. No, I need to respect time. I don't want to get carried away here. The current situation in South Africa, and this is why we cannot wish away some of the sentiments that are being expressed on the ground about the xenophobic attacks. The reality of the situation is that, there are some parts of Joburg, if you visited them, you'll actually think that you are in Abuja. Or you're in, have you been to Berea lately? You'll think they're fighting and they're talking. We don't have a problem with foreign nationals. We welcome them, and we should be welcoming them. But don't hate the player. Hate the game. Because a lot of these guys, particularly people that come from Pakistan, that come from North Africa and the Horn of Africa, the Somalis. By the way, they speak Sotho these days. You must watch out, boss. They even have girlfriends. Yeah. They have children, never mind. So the thing about these guys is that there is something that they are doing right. Learn from them. Don't hate them. And when I say learn from them, I'm not saying go sleep on the back of Millie Meal. And I'm not saying go wash with the stock, and repackage it. But there's something that these people are doing which could be a case study for you and I to learn to become better business people and entrepreneurs. We cannot carry on accusing foreign nationals that they are taking our jobs. Which jobs? I'll tell you which jobs. Domestic workers? Come on, how many generations of our mothers and must continue with that job? Come on, let's think of something else. My mother was a domestic worker. My mother before my mother was a domestic worker. Let there be some transformation. Let's change the model. Which job? Security guards. We've all watched Mushafa. Which job? Using a bike. We've watched Velapi. We've done that thing. We need to look at our opportunities. Let us be creative. P is about partnership, P is about productivity. Now, I must be careful on that one because I told my staff to be productive and we ended up with 3 pregnancies. None of them were mine. R, it's about reindustrialization. We need to reindustrialize the South African economy. I, it's about innovation. We need to become innovative as the people of South Africa. We must stop being lazy. And this thing of 30%, I'm not part of it. No, I don't celebrate mediocrity. And I'm telling you now, you can tweet it. I am not part of the 30% pass rate generation. I'm not. And I'll get off stage. Let me just get this off my chest. I told you I'm over 40, so I don't really care. So, you see, this 30% thing, it's actually born out of the fact that our people are afraid of failure. Now, let me tell you something. Most of the people who are successful in the world and people who've been greatly used by God are people who've tasted failure. Now, if you're experiencing challenges and failure in your business, never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Steve Jobs, he was fired by the company that he formed, from his own company. The same Steve Jobs that you're talking about. The light that you now have, this illumination, Thomas Edison. Is it Thomas Edison? How many times did he find ways? They said to him, you failed to invent the lamp. He says, no, the bulb. He says, no. I learned the many ways of how not to do a bulb. There are many stories you can talk about. Let me mention just one example in the Bible. You know the story of the flood? Whether you believe it or not, let's just accept that the story is there. You know that Noah had to wait for 125 years before the first flood, the first rain could fall? Abraham. You know when you pray, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Joseph, he had to wait 25 years before he could have the child of the promise. He was in serious doubt. And when he looked at his wife, 100 years, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Colonel Sanders was over 60 when he got the miracle to that formula. I can go on and on about people whose faith has been tested. Every time you face challenges in life, don't give up. And stop hating foreign nationals. Somebody was joking, said the xenophobic attacks in Alex were not stopped by the army, contrary to popular belief. They said no. They heard that Boko Haram is coming, and then those guys at the hostels, they said, ho, 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 hey, 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 turbulent. So we have a lot as South Africans to celebrate. Sorry, I just in case, some of you doubt, I did prepare. I've got a long list of slides, but because of time, I'll just get off stage. I want to end off with these things. Wouldn't it be a wonderful country to live in where our people can have at least 3 meals a day? Arts and culture for the mind, human dignity, self-respect, and freedom for the spirit. I have a dream.
Well, I think it's a very good dream that we all are proudly South African, but we need to give each other a reason to be proud, isn't it, Leslie? It needs to be continuous. You can't go to gym once and say, that's it for the year. So if you're proud once, you need to work at it. Right, questions? So, as we've already said, now 5 maximum. So the first 5, I think you guys were the runners. Check the first 5 that raised their hands, right? Then you can pass it on to them, right? So we've got one, the lady with the mic, yeah, go ahead. Others can't hear you.
My name is Keke, and I have just a few questions. One is, what is our value proposition as a country? So if I want to go, say for instance, the Swiss, everybody thinks of the Swiss as the guys with precision. You think Swiss watches, you think Swiss chocolate, you're thinking precision. What is our value proposition as a country? So if I want to take my products outside, what is this big payoff line that I can attach to South Africa? Secondly, what are we doing about the bilateral agreements that we have, particularly with European countries, which I find tend to be anti-competitive in terms of the manufacturing sector in South Africa?
Okay, there you are. Current affairs show, but fine, I appreciate that. Leslie?
I thought I'll take a round of questions. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Can I take you out on a date? You know I'm single now. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll tell you what's our value proposition as South Africa. And this is why the xenophobic attacks, it's so antithetical to what we stand for. The one thing that we were able to do, we may not have the German precision and the Swiss chocolates and what have you, but the one thing that we were able to do, which to this day, the world continues to ask themselves how they did it. If you go to a place like Israel, and you look at the Palestinian conflict, the question that is constantly asked is, if only they had a Mandela. Now, we can't pin it down to just one individual. What we do have as the people of South Africa, and I pray that we don't lose that, is we have the Ubuntu. And that is the spirit best summarized by the words, I am because you are. Now that is deeply spiritual and philosophical. Because no other country in the world was able, that's why some people called us the miracle nation and the rainbow nation and all those terms. You may not be able to put it on a balance sheet, but let me assure you, our ability as the people of South Africa to have Ubuntu is by far worth more than our, because if you take care of Ubuntu, then it will take care of other things. So I believe that's a very strong and compelling value proposition at the emotive level. We now need to cascade it down to the rational. And in doing so, and I think our leaders are now beginning to realize that in as much as we fought for this democratic order, you see, the one thing about apartheid, I don't call it apartheid, I call it apartheid. It united us because we had a common enemy to fight. Now we have a different struggle. And the struggle is about transforming the lives of our people. How do we achieve radical economic transformation so that we live in a stable society? And somehow we have lost the plot in our ability to say, I'll give you one example, so let me not take too much time. Education is a good starting point. We need to, this 30% is nonsense. If needs be, and I challenge you, an average Zimbabwean is better educated than an average South African. Why can't we go across the border to Zim and ask the old man, what did you do right? No. We need to swallow our pride. Because in the last 20 years or 21 years, we have done nothing but confuse our children. How many education policies have we had since 1994? How many economic policies have we had since 1994? We need to find a formula that works and stick to it. That for me would be a recipe for success. Sorry.
Okay.
Next question, bilateral agreements. One of the things that we are addressing, and you saw this debate around the chicken, that the poultry industry in South Africa is basically saying, so let me just, those of you that don't follow the debate, it's quite simple. People in the north typically prefer the white meat, okay? They call it chicken breast. I've looked, I've never seen any breast. But anyway, they eat chicken breast, right? That's their preferred diet. So what they do then is the white meat. So Pamela subsidizes Hussein. Hussein is your red meat, your drumsticks and what have you, your thighs, and you know how a solid marriage can be built on good drumsticks. You know, make sure the father has the drumstick. So what they do then is they export that to our country. By the time it lands here, it's cheap that side because it's already been grossly subsidized. By the time it arrives in South Africa, it is cheap for them to sell it here because the premium has already been paid elsewhere. And that leads to anti-competitive behavior. So we're not a xenophobic movement. We are a type of movement that says, put South Africa first. It may very well be that you have to pay a premium. And I think someone like Ethel would understand that. As a bank, there is, as part of your risk matrix, is that you understand that not all the businesses that you support are going to succeed. So we must be willing to pay a premium in order to give another South African an opportunity to have a job. Next question, please.
Okay, next one, where are we? Just guide me with this right to the back there. Right.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tolani. I'd like to say some few comments before I ask the question. Oh, just a question. Okay, no problem. If that's the case, Mr. Leslie, my question is, as Proud SA, what is your main role? Is your main role promoting SA products, or is also your role in making sure that you protect the image of SA?
Okay.
And
I think we got that. Yeah. Is that fine?
No, sir. I'm still continuing.
All right.
And
I think it's two very important questions.
And if it's that, please, can you please tell me how are you guys working together with the youth in particular, so that what you spoke about, which is patriotism, can be instilled from guys I mean, from the youth, from the young stages up to the older ones. So the question is, if you guys are also working into protecting, I mean, the image of the country and instilling patriotism, what are you doing in particular to instill that in the youth in particular?
Okay. Okay, fine. Right. Go ahead.
Can I not take two questions?
Maybe, all right, will you make a note of it? Right. So, okay, Leslie wants to take maybe, so we're going to have maximum 5. What have we done so far? 2, right? Let's get the other, let's do 3 more, well, 2 more, because we've got that one, and that's it, right? Just help us there, right? Go ahead. Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Muto Kumalo. I've got 2 questions. Does Proudly SA have a relationship with government departments? And the other one is, does the brilliant advocate still practice in practice? The reason why I'm asking is that I've got a legal challenge that I have that I need to be taken care of.
All right, got that. Okay, so then what's it, 2 more? Is that right? Maximum, right? Just help us there. Who's got the mic? You can go ahead, yeah.
Good day, gentlemen and ladies. My question will go straight to the advocate as he was speaking.
Okay, that sound is on. You can just speak a bit louder, yeah?
Okay. My question will go straight to him. I would like to be a little bit long, but I won't be.
If you can ask one, because we are out of time, really. Just one quick question, please.
My question will go straight to him. That as a CEO of Proudly South African, what is he doing about the township economy? Do they have any mechanism or any way of helping to grow the township economy, especially from the young people from the townships?
Okay, got that. Thank you. You got a note. Right, the last one, right? Okay.
I just wanted to ask a question about, since like as young entrepreneurs, we just need the nitros. So how does one get the Proudly South African logo? Because since like when you start your own business and you are not recognized, like it's a little bit hard for you to go out there. Like for instance, BM, people, they recognize those brands. So how does one get that
logo? Good question. Okay, that's it. Right, Leslie, go ahead.
Thank you. So let's deal with the mandate of Proudly South African. The mandate of Proudly South African, I tried to use the acrostic PRIDE. Our key focus is on patriotism. It's about partnership and productivity. It's about reindustrialization to support government's macroeconomic policy framework, which call for reindustrialization of the economy. I had some of the slides to demonstrate what has happened, for example, in the manufacturing sector in the last couple of years. We have all, and let's just face it, and I know it's a challenge for entrepreneurs because when you start out, machinery, equipment, etc., is difficult for you to source. And so what people typically do is we all go to China. Now let me tell you what happens when we all go to China. We deprive our own country the ability to find domestic solutions. So if you want to talk about township economies, one of the key things that you need to remember for township economies to develop is that I spoke about this need for me to begin to see you, Ashraf, before I start importing an international speaker as a potential speaker. And it starts with little things like those, where we begin to support each other. How you grow township economies is that, first of all, I think we need to work together. And we need to take some time out and say, this quote has been attributed to Albert Einstein. I'm not sure if he is, but you can also look at Romans 12, Paul's letter to the church at Rome. It's about a mindset issue. Einstein says it's insanity to do the same thing over and over again, and each time expect different result. Now, there is something that we need to do. We need to have those dialogues where we begin to say, as business forums, Ko Alexander, what is it that we need to do differently to attract business? Government has a responsibility as well. Now, I need to be careful about this government thing because you see, the moment your business only relies on government, comrade, you have a problem. Because once there's a regime change, you know what happens to that tender. So you need to diversify your portfolio. and make sure that we have these meaningful dialogues and we engage government. I believe government, based on the uniqueness of our challenges, has a responsibility to empower. And when we talk about empowerment, it does not mean empowerment of the few. It needs to be broad-based. Because currently, you go to tissue paper, same names. You go to mining, same names. Hey, Matot, Kantitina, where do we fit into this picture? So we need to have this discussion and really begin to open up the economy. Now, we work with one of the hexagons, what you saw in the hexagon about the flag, is that we work with other entities, such as Brand South Africa, to deal with the brand image of the country. Brand South Africa communicates to the international community. They've also developed a domestic mandate. It's an issue that we are addressing. Our role is to communicate to South Africans about the need for us to focus on this issue about pride. Reindustrialization, innovation. D is about domestic consumption. E is about entrepreneurship, enterprise development, and export. We need to build our export capacity. Now, we are born out of NEDLEC as Proudly South African. As an entity within NEDLEC, our key focus is really a buy local movement. So we have, as part of our stakeholders and our board, because we have a constituency-based board, we have representatives from government, from labor, from business, and from community. Some of the programs that we engaged in dealing with transforming the young mind is to go into schools. We have what we call the Ubuntu Schools campaign. And as part of the Ubuntu Schools campaign, that's when we share the values, and we're working with other government departments like the Department of Arts and Culture. To what extent do South Africans understand the flag, that if the flag is upside down, what does it mean? Do we know and do we understand our national symbols? Do you know who you are as a South African? So we work with different agencies depending on our needs analysis. So for example, if we have to talk about database, because that's one of the things that I would like for all of you to be on our database, because we take that database, we give it to National Treasury, and we give it to government departments so that when there's procurement, they would be able to access you. The use of the logo, we do have a stand. Please go and talk to our guys. I'm not in favor of charging people these fees. And that's one of the mistakes I think we've made as a campaign, of charging people fees, and it was based on turnover. So we've tried to modify that. You become a member of the campaign. We believe our campaign is based on 4 key pillars. One is local content. We believe that if the economy is to grow, we need to focus on local content. And in the case of imported material, there must be a substantial transformation of the imported material. So for example, if you are into fashion and you clothing industry, clothing and textile sector, make sure that if you import the material, you don't import finished goods. Let there be some value add that we are able to generate in South Africa so that we can create jobs for our people. We stand for quality. We believe in quality. And this issue about quality is something that we need to address. Quality in terms of service. I don't know if you've ever been to a petrol station and it takes you 15 minutes to fill up, to put in petrol for 50 rands. Well, I've done it. Don't look at me like you haven't done it. You do it all the time. When you are broke, you're broke. You do it all the time. So the quality of service, the amount of time that you lose just waiting for somebody to serve you. And sometimes when we serve our people, we actually don't even do it with a smile. And this nonsense about working hours. Okay, comrades, I understand their labor standards and we don't want to exploit our people. But, you know, one of the reasons why some of these traders are clubbing our people and they've taken over, literally everywhere you go in South Africa, they are there. I mean, I went to Daggabe in Eastern Cape. I was amazed. Daggabe is next to Kunu. Sorry, Kunu for you. Yeah, it's Kunu for white people. They are there, these people, Bangladeshis. They are everywhere. And one of the things that they are able to beat our people at is trading hours. They don't have trading hours. Whereas, like Ethel said in her example of Aiko, we really specialize in Aiko. We must find this Aiko, throttle this Aiko, and bend them. No, Aiko must die. Because Aiko is destroying our ability to become competitive. Okay, I'm about to finish. Kolani, Kolani, I answered your question. We work with young people. Mr. Kumalu, we do work with government departments. And about your legal services, there are lots of lawyers, Chief, I can refer you to. But I can refer you for a small fee. I'll refer you, don't worry, no problem.
That's it.